There we go. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining us on this call. We are really excited to talk to you. We just had a really big thing happen with DSA on the Hill, which is an event that happens every single year. And six of us had the privilege of going this year, along with Kim from corporate as well as Solomon. So we are going to speak tonight. Some of us are going to speak tonight about just our experience and tell you more about what this is about, why it's a big deal. And we really want to spread awareness on this because it's an incredible thing. But I'm going to pass it along right away to Kim Drabik. She is the VP of Corporate Affairs. I said that right, Kim? Yes. Okay.
Good.
Good. I wasn't looking at notes. It was from memory. I'm like, oh no, VP of Corporate Affairs from corporate. And she is incredible. We were all honored to be invited and to be there with her in Solomon. So she's going to share from the corporate side and just really talk about what this is all about. And Kim, I'm just going to let you take it away for us. So thank you so much for being on.
Sure, happy to. My name is Kim Drabik, Vice President of Corporate Affairs, and I can't tell you what an honor it is to speak with all of you tonight. When Jaime and Roz suggested this, it really warmed my heart because it's my job and what we do every day, and it's something that when it's going well, it tends to be quiet and maybe in the shadows a little bit. So. I have decades of experience in public affairs, advocacy, government relations. I have spent my entire career in direct selling on the corporate side because I love it. I see the difference that it makes. I have experience advocating for direct selling both at the national level and on a global level. So, why Plexus does Day on the Hill? It's really important for us, for your voices to be heard on Capitol Hill. Oftentimes, direct selling is misunderstood. So, when your policymakers actually hear from their constituents, it really strengthens the credibility of Plexus, our products, our ethics, and that sort of thing. So we've done this, we've participated, I think, for the past 3 years. We ask a team to join us every year from different states. The wonderful thing is that you find that you meet with your actual congressmen or state senators. And remember that they are elected officials that have been put in office by you, so they are civil servants. And when they're writing policy, when they hear about small business entrepreneurship and independent contractor status, those are the things that really matter. So if I can highlight a little bit from what our day looked like on Capitol Hill and what we were advocating for and what happened, and then I'd love for Jaime, Roz, Leah, Emily, any of you to chime in on what your experience was, because once we were off and running, we were going in different directions. I happened to have a group from Maryland, and most of my people were Mary Kay representatives. But you know what? We're all talking about the same issues. There was a House Resolution 3495 that actually passed out of committee the day we were on Capitol Hill. And it is the first time since 1982 that legislation specific to direct selling in the IRS code maintaining that independent contractor status passed out of committee. So that was just a exciting time to be there, definitely. And then also we talked to legislators not only about everybody's individual story, but if they don't belong to the direct selling caucus, that they consider joining. And then we're also talking about income claims. As many of you know, the FTC continues to look at how we represent income claims. And when we're able to legitimize direct selling directly to those policymakers, it really makes a difference. So Solomon, who's on our corporate affairs team as well, every day we're working to bring credibility, show that Plexus, our ethics, I want us to be recognized as a leading company, a leading direct selling company in ethics, getting it right, and that sort of thing. So that just really warms my heart. I took some notes because I could go on. So integrity, transparency, and compliance. And like I said, really being recognized as the company that does it right. Another exciting thing that we've done recently that Solomon has been working on, there is an exemption. As you know, you can't give gifts to elected officials because that could be considered fraud. But there is an exemption in the code where they can accept home state products. So we've reached out to our entire Arizona delegation. And so when you go into an Arizona office in Washington, D.C., you'll see Hydrate, Slim, and Active, and they can give it out to their constituents. And then something I learned from Solomon, because he used to work on Capitol Hill, is there's a big thing among staffers trading products. So again, it's just brand recognition among those working on the Hill as well. Anything else I should add, Roz, Jamie?
No, that's great. That's great, Kim. Thank you so much, Kim. I don't know.
Absolutely.
We learned so much, y'all, from Kim and Solomon. I mean, it was like a crash course for me in eighth grade government because I arrived and I mean, it was so mind blowing, what we were involved with. And, Solomon and Kim, so, I mean, they've been involved on the Hill and they understand how everything works. So we were drilling them all day long, and it was a ball of fun to learn. And so I'll kind of walk you through what our day looked like because a lot of people have asked me that. What did you all do? We arrived in DC the first night. We had a cocktail party with all the other participants of DSA on the Hill Day, and it was network marketers from companies all over the U.S. So we're sitting there chit chatting with people from Isogenics, from Mary Kay, from Amway, from some new network marketing companies we'd never heard of. And it was so neat. Everyone just kind of wanted to get to know each other. And everybody, I think us all being there gave each other credibility. I looked around and I noticed what companies were there. I noticed what companies weren't there. And it was just really neat to see the companies that were there really fighting for our industry. So we went to bed that night, woke up the next morning, and we hit the ground running. Our hotel was walking distance from the Capitol, so our whole group walked over and had breakfast in the legislature with all the other group, with the whole group that was at the cocktail party with us. And they divided us up by state. And the reason they do this is because we wanted to speak to our congressmen and our senators from our state because we are their constituency. And so they divided us all up. And so I was in a group with Melissa Shaver. Melissa Shaver and Julia Carty couldn't be on tonight, but they were my guests that I brought along. And Melissa is from Texas, and so she was with me. And Emily was from Abilene, so she was at my table with me as well. And Solomon was our power leader in our group. And there was a couple people from I believe Isogenics maybe in our group, and I know we had some from Arbonne. And so then what we did is all the groups divided up, and we had 4 meetings. My group met with 2 congressmen in the House, and then we went over and met with 2 senators in the Senate. Y'all, we walked a lot. When you think DC, you think everything happens in the Capitol. Oh no, y'all. There's building after building after building. There's underground trains and underground hallways. And we took these little trains back and forth between the House and the Senate. And Solomon knew his way around. Solomon, I tell you what, I mean, he kept us on track. But some of the meetings we would meet with staffers because the rep or the senator might have not been able to be in the meeting. I know other people that went from other states actually got to meet with the senator or with the congressman in person. But meeting with the staffers, it was just fascinating. And we got to sit down and we got about a 10, 15 minutes, maybe 15 minutes opportunity of time to sit and all of us kind of share what our mission was while we were there. And then all of us got to share a few personal stories. And that was really important because we wanted to put faces behind this bill. We wanted to put faces behind the action so that they weren't just reading something on paper and said, oh, those are social sellers, those are network marketers. No, these are individuals whose lives are changed by this industry. and what that means to us and what that means to our families and what that means to the ones that we care about and we love, and how we're able to build up other entrepreneurs in this space. And a lot of times some of the staffers we were talking to might not have understood our industry. And so that meeting gave us a platform to not only explain the industry, how it works, but why it's so beneficial to all of us. So that was our typical day. That was what we did. And I'm going to pop this over to either Emily or Leah and let them kind of share about, what they experienced and what they got to share. I think it's Emily. Are you next?
Yes, I'm next. Thanks, Roz.
Sure.
I got to spend the whole day with her, and she's just awesome. She was like one of my people that was a legend to me in Plexus, so I was so pumped to be able to hang out with her and Melissa and Solomon. And like she said, Solomon took the bull by the horns and showed us exactly where to go all day, which was so nice because I think all of us were a little bit overwhelmed. I know I felt really overwhelmed going into it. Just I've been to DC once as an 18-year-old, but didn't remember much about it. Don't know an overabundance about politics. And really honestly, like going into it, the way that I felt was a little underqualified, or a little bit like, should I really be doing this, or should I be the person representing our company or advocating for us? But throughout the day, I just tried to keep an open mind and tried to listen and learn and observe. And by the end of it, I was just so excited for all of us that are involved in network marketing. I was really proud of our industry, but extra proud of our company in particular. Right from the get-go, when we did our first little reception the night before the day on the Hill, I noticed a marked difference with Plexus people. We have just a little bit different culture, I feel like, and it's always obvious no matter where we go. People are warmer, more friendly, just want to get to know you and are genuine. And there's no like sword measuring contest. Like in those environments, sometimes I feel like it's easy to slip into like who's more important than who, and who has more credentials, and who has more credibility with people. And that's something I felt a little bit like weird and insecure about going into it, because it's not something I feel particularly qualified for. So being around our Plexus people, I felt right at home and felt like, no, these are my people. These are the people that I am happy and proud to represent. The thing that we were told going into it was that we would share like a 2-minute story with either a senator or congressman or their staffers. And so we tried to prepare for those 2-minute stories and try to be concise. And I kind of had in mind like what I would share if I was given the opportunity, and really felt like in the moment when I was asked to share, to do a total pivot and share a different part of my story that I felt would make more of an impact. And so in that moment, it was scary, but I felt like at the end of the day, when I was sharing, that was what needed to be heard. Throughout my time in Washington, D.C., I got to meet a lot of people, and over, it seemed like the conversations would go towards like things of like, how do I say it? Like people would try to project their role or how important they might be in whatever they're doing. And so when I had the turn to share, I kind of took this opposite approach and just said, the reason that this industry changed my life is because I came from nothing, because I started at rock bottom, because I didn't have a lot going for me in this industry. And why it's so impactful for people like me is because it gives people an opportunity to start with nothing and make it into something incredible and something that you can truly support yourself with. And so that was why I decided to share that part of the story, because I think it's a little countercultural in DC when it's all about climbing the ladder. And so hopefully that story pierced through and made a difference and represented what we are able to do in our industry and what makes it so different.
And I'm a sympathetic crier, so here I am. I'm Leah Pearson, and felt very similar, Emily, when Jamie asked me to go. I'm like, why am I going? I am a homeschool mom from a small town, but it was definitely an honor to be able to represent Plexus and just the industry as a whole. And while I was there, I shared my story. We had 6 meetings, so we were very busy. We were like power walking from place to place and had to get an Uber a couple times because we were not going to make it. So we were very busy. Jamie got to hear my story multiple times because we were in the same room together, and she just kind of asked me to share sort of what I shared there as well, just kind of the same heart with you. And I think that, what I was reminded of in DC is that you have a bigger purpose for why you're doing this business. It's not just about the paycheck, even though like my story is, it really was about the paycheck when I started, same as Emily. I kind of feel like I came from rock bottom. 5 years ago, we were so desperate for another stream of income. My husband was in ministry and local government at the time, and you don't do either of those for the pay. We did not have enough money to pay bills, to put food on the table. We had, diapers to buy for 2 kids. We had a 4-year-old, 3-year-old, 1-year-old. And even with him picking up side jobs and everything, it was not working. So I needed to look for an option to work as well. And I noticed that everything was requiring me to be out of the home. And also, like, it just was not substantial enough to cover childcare costs. So I was kind of between a rock and a hard place. And I have a deep, deep conviction. This is something that Jamie and I talked about, and I shared while there, that change for the world starts in the home. Family is so important, and present intentional parents, they're what changed the world. And so I did not want to be taken out of the home, and really kind of felt at a loss. And that's when Jamie reached out to me about Plexus, and for the first time I saw an option that honored my conviction to be home. And there's a flexible schedule. I could work as many hours as I wanted to work. I would get paid well because I'm a hard worker and I wanted to be paid well. I didn't need childcare cost. I could do it after the kids went to bed. Like, there was no cost there, and I could have space to keep homeschooling and those things that are important to me. That might not be the same thing for you, but for me, it was homeschooling and intentional parenting. I had space for that still. And the financial impact, I, said that to every single person because, again, we wanted to like legitimize what we do, right? Like, my first paycheck, our fridge died the day that we got it. And I was able to replace that fridge, which everybody knows that is not cheap, darn it. That was like not how we wanted to spend the paycheck, but it was like right away it made an impact. And then we were able to pay off student loans and medical debt and all these things. And, maybe you've experienced that same kind of relief too. Anybody drop it in the comments. Did you have a first paycheck moment where you're like, okay, I think this is going to help us. Like, this is changing my life. But the thing is, at some point, you do move beyond the paycheck and then into significance and impact. And over time, I've seen how this business reaches far beyond income. It strengthens families by providing time and freedom. It creates space for parents to be present and invested. It gives hope to others so they can step into whatever your God-given calling is. And it might not be that stay-at-home mom, and that's okay. But that's exactly what I got to share at Capitol Hill, that Plexus is not just a business, it's a vehicle for significance and lasting influence. And I really encourage you to remember that with every single follow-up, every team training you're doing, every conversation with a customer. It's part of something bigger. We get to help families thrive. And in some cases, we get to empower moms or dads to be able to stay home or stay close to their kids, leaving a legacy of freedom. It's not just products. It's not just commissions. Both changed my life. I also came in super sick and needed the products. Like, it's all changed my life. But really, this is about stepping into all you're called to be and impacting families, strengthening that community. So really encourage you tonight to think about, what bigger purpose do I have here? What is God calling me to through this business? What's that bigger purpose? Like, the paycheck is life-changing. You might be in a place where you need that paycheck, but what is outside of that? What is beyond that? And my greater purpose is sharing and living out the importance of the family unit. I talk about it all the time. That's what I talked about in DC. Plexus has made that possible, and yours might look different. But if you take time to reflect on that, it's going to give you fuel for the hard days, because you will have hard days. And it's going to give you conviction to continue boldly. And it's going to give you the confidence that you're exactly where you're meant to be, because that's what it's done for me. So make sure you reflect on that. And I think, what we have with this business is so unique. And I'm just really glad that we're able to share that. And I think the only way that you can do it is through sharing your story. So to have time to share our story with influential people, that was priceless.
Thank you, you guys. So good. I love just hearing the recap and what each of you shared. Well, first of all, I'd love for you guys to comment so far. What stood out to you so far about what people spoke about? What are you getting so far from this call? I'd love to hear if you want to share anything in the comments. And I'm going to talk for a minute, but before I do, and I did not plan this, so we'll see if I was going to call Solomon out if is there anything that you wanted to add in, Solomon? I'm going to put you on the spot here, but we have a couple minutes before I close it out and share. So is there anything you want to add in from being there as well?
Yeah, so I think just kind of very briefly, just to kind of, I think, reinforce a lot of what you guys been saying is, when we're with these, whether it's federal officials or local or state officials, right? They really hear and see from people like me and Kim, pretty consistently through kind of, our consistent outreach and our other advocacy projects that we have going on at any given time. So, for you guys, the brand ambassador is kind of the face of not only, our organization at Plexus, but also the entire direct selling industry, right? To kind of have them see you guys up close and personal about how your stories are impacting, real people, real lives throughout wherever all live, whether it's Texas or Michigan and all 50 states, and obviously how, you being a constituent as well. I think kind of adds the cherry on top, if you will, of just having them being open and receptive. Not only again to hear your stories and how it has a positive impact, but how some of our legislative asks, like the HB 3495 or joining the direct selling caucus or other legislative asks that we kind of bring upon them at any given time throughout the year, just kind of illustrating why that's important, why we continue to kind of push for those legislative initiatives or specific pieces of legislation or other regulatory concerns that maybe popping up in different states or on the federal level through the FTC. So I think, this kind of DC trip that, we're kind of discussing tonight, I think it's amazing for, you guys to kind of share that and kind of be able to illustrate to, everyone here why that's important. And just kind of, be able to articulate some tangible results and some tangible progress that not only is Plexus making, but the entire industry as well. So thank you all for being on this call, and definitely appreciate you, being a part of our team and really being able to, assist me and Kim in a lot of what we're trying to accomplish.
Thank you, Solomon. Yeah, I just remember being there. I'm Jamie Haskin, and I while I was there, I thought over and over again, this is so big. Like this, our teams need to know about this. Plexus needs to know about this. There needs to be awareness of what is going on, not only on, this specific day, DSA on the Hill, but what Kim and Solomon are doing like throughout the year. Like this isn't just a one day thing. They're advocating on our behalf. They're working through corporate, through, advocating for legislation and all the things. Like it is a big deal. So just really wanted to highlight a lot of what is going on and share our experience and all the things. But, you know, um, you don't advocate and work hard in DC and in Congress for an industry that is simply a small side hustle. You don't advocate and work in DC for something that's a gimmick or something that's a scam. And if nothing else, you guys, you should know this already, but this is a big deal. Our industry is a big deal. Plexus is a big deal, and it shouldn't have to be said. But for all the little things that still come up here and there, if you talk to a friend, and you still get that scam thing come up or whatever, without a shadow of a doubt, like this is not anything close to that. That's not what we do when this industry is that big of a deal working in DC. So you guys know the legitimacy of what we have here. And I want you guys to know that people are fighting on your behalf. They're fighting for your dreams, for your families, because that's what this was about. Plexus wanted to send ambassadors they sent us to represent so we could share our stories because it's personal to us. And our stories just represents all of yours. You know, everyone has a unique story, but it represents all of the stories throughout Plexus. And that's why we get to go. And that's why it's so important to go and to share these stories because it's one out of so many. It's personal. And, you know, some other people mentioned there's other, I know Roz was talking about other direct selling companies being there. Emily mentioned that too. And I just thought that it was, I had just a extra layer of respect being there with them because, like Kim mentioned, we're all working together for the same cause in the same industry. It was very powerful. It was like a linking arms, you know, advocating for the same thing together. And, you know, our group met with, like Leah said, we had 6 different meetings. 3 of them ended up being with staffers. And I will say my thoughts and experience from that was they listened, they agreed, they nodded, they understood, they were receptive. And it was just really nice. Staffers, they told us, you know, listen, they might be in their 20s, but they're going to be the future Congress people and they have the congressman's ear. So they're important. It wasn't just talking to someone that didn't matter, right? So they received us very well. But meeting with the representatives, we had 3 of them. It was Jack Bergman, John Molinar, and Aaron Hoken from Indiana. The other 2 were Michigan. And I just really appreciated being face to face with them. You know, Molinar and Bergman are actually on the Congressional Direct Selling Caucus. So they were very familiar with what we were there advocating for. Actually, I looked up who was on the caucus, and we have 6 representatives total from Michigan out of the 21, which is pretty cool. I'm from Michigan, so shout out to Michigan. That was, I thought, pretty awesome. But all 3 of those representatives showed huge belief in our industry. You guys, we didn't have to convince them. We didn't have to convince them what we were advocating for and for direct selling. They knew about it. They had family members who were a part of direct selling. They were on, some of them were on the caucus. Like they appreciated what we were there for, our stories, what we were there to represent, and they were on board. Their belief was huge for our industry. They recognized the importance of maintaining independence as business owners, as we ourselves are business owners. They recognize that. And so this is the congressman seeing the value, the need, the importance of maintaining the quality of direct sales in this country. That's a big deal, you guys, right? So what you are doing matters. The impact that you are making matters. And that's everything from the health with Plexus to the community, the culture, the financial impact. And so it is about you and it's about your families. This is about generational impact. It's about community impact. It's about giving back. And it's about more than just yourself. So who on this call, you can comment in the chat, kind of a rhetorical question, but who on this call wants to be a part of something that has purpose and creates change? Right? Something that drives impact in this world. You are doing that with Plexus. I would love to hear what every single person like takes away from this because I feel like we're trying to share a glimpse of what we experienced because I think everyone that went, just our belief was just like skyrocketed. I mean, it was already skyrocketed, I feel like, but it just was amazing to see at this kind of level what corporate is doing and what this industry is doing. But with that being said, on top of that, I'm going to challenge you to 2 things. So we're going to end this call with 2 challenges. First, and it's connected to what Leah already talked about, define your purpose. What is your purpose beyond a paycheck? And that can include your family, of course, God and family first, and what else? Generationally, your community, those around you, whatever it is, define your purpose beyond a paycheck. Second, call to action is going to be in the next 24 hours, reach out to 3 people boldly about this business opportunity. I hope your belief is already off the roof with Plexus. And if not, hopefully part of this call helped that with that. But how did this impact you? Share it with your team, share it with your customers, share it with your potentials. Don't hold back from what you can offer people monetarily, but also as a community and as a place to belong and a sense of purpose. So listen, you guys, if the representatives can recognize the importance of this industry and advocate for it on our behalves, surely you can offer the business to others with confidence and belief. Yes? Yes? Commitment here, everyone? Yes? So they are doing the work on the Hill for us. Plexus is doing the work for us. Now we get to show up and do our job for us, for our families, for our team, for our company, and for others who still need this. All right, you guys, we are going to wrap it up there. Thank you for everyone who shared. Thank you all for being on here, and we will talk to you later. Thank you, Kim. Thank you, Solomon.